Hi, welcome. This is Sandra Gutierrez of Nomad Stitches, and this video is all about blocking. Blocking your garment is one of the last things that you will do in the process of making a garment. However, it is very, very important. A lot of people skip it, A, because they don't know what it is or how it works, but also because they don't know how important it is for a garment. Now, before blocking a garment, your stitches are kind of curled up and just a bit messy, right? The process kind of messes them up. Blocking stretches them out, lets them breathe, and lets them take the right place. Another thing that blocking is great is that if your garment is slightly smaller, for example, than you expected it to be, you can actually stretch it quite a bit with blocking and make it be the size that you want it to be, which is so good. Also, if you ever have a yoke that's a little bit curly, blocking will do the job. It is especially important with garments that have lace in them. Now, the Coco jacket doesn't have any lace and it actually is quite structured. So maybe blocking is not as important in a garment like this. However, it is very, very wonderful to kind of let the garment breathe and just have a little bit more fluidity to it and just fit a little bit better. Also, things like edgings just kind of take better shaping after you block garments. So there are three really good techniques for blocking a garment or anything really. The first one is wet blocking. Then we have spray blocking and steam blocking. So let's talk about wet blocking. To wet block something simply means to soak it into something and make sure it's nice and wet, and then you lay it flat to dry. Now, there are some really good advantages to wet blocking. The first one is that it gets a really good wash. Now, washing a new garment might not sound important, but it's nice to get rid of any extra dye if you're using hand-dyed yarn, for example, and just kind of get rid of all the nasties from when you were making it. What if you were eating crisps or something? Like, just kind of rinse it out, right? I use this soap. It's Knit Q No Rinse Delicate Wash. This is especially for wool and it has lanolin in it, which kind of keeps the properties of wool untouched, and it smells really nice as well. So every time I finish a garment, I want it to smell better before I wear it. So the way you do it is you squirt a few little squirts into a big bucket of water. You make sure that the soap is dissolved in the water, and then you simply soak your garment in for about 15 minutes. After that, you will lay it flat over a towel, and I like to roll the towel up and squeeze all the excess water before I roll it out and then place it on top of a dry towel to dry again. There are other really handy tools for drying, like drying mats. And they're basically these kind of foam blocks that you find in kids' centers. And they're really nice because you can actually add pins to them. So if you wanted to stretch out lace, for example, you could stretch it out real good and pin it in place. Or if you needed to increase the size of something, wet blocking it and then stretching it out and pinning it down will definitely make sure that the shape stays well and also that the garment actually grows. So it's really wonderful for that. But honestly, just the floor will do. It just might take a little longer to dry. Another really good tip that I actually recently just learned is to use the spin cycle in your washing machine. So do not wash the garment. Do not wash the garment, especially if you're not talking about superwash yarn. Simply turn on the spin cycle and let all that excess water be removed from the garment. You don't want to go too fast, especially with something that is non-superwash, okay? You want to use a slower cycle for spinning. But once you are finished, then your garment will have a lot less water in it and it will be able to dry a little bit faster. Last time I did this, it dried overnight, but it makes things so much easier because before, from a regular wet blocking, sometimes it takes me about 3 days to dry things, especially in the winter and especially indoors. So, you know, play with it. Another technique for blocking is to use spray blocking. Now, The advantages of spray blocking is that it's much faster than wet blocking because you are not soaking the fabric. You don't really give it a real wash, but it does work for blocking and for loosening in the stitches. So all you want to do is lay your garment flat, spray it everywhere to make sure it's nice and damp, and then just leaving it to dry. Turn it on the other side, spray it, and leave it to dry. And that's what I would do that for garments. Like this one, I did a spray block actually because I didn't really feel like it needed that much shaping. I was happy with it the way it looked, but again, blocking just kind of makes the stitches relax and fill in their gaps, let's say. So spray blocking is also a very good way of doing it, especially if you are in a hurry. Now the other really handy way of blocking things, and it's actually my favorite these days, is to use steam blocking. So this is my little steamer. I really need to take better care of it because this is not okay. I got this one on Amazon, and I'm gonna put all the links in the description for the soap and for my steamer, but you can always use an iron. And all you do is simply lay your garment flat again and steam away. You fill up this little thing of water and then you kind of use it as a gun. Super handy. And again, that just lets the stitches breathe and kind of get into the right shape. Steam and spray blocking are not the best for things like lace or garments that you really want to change the shape of. For that, you do want to go with wet blocking. But if you're doing something like the cocoa jacket, then steaming or spraying is also a very viable option because they will dry faster and they already are quite structured, so they don't need that much handling and changing with the blocking. But it is very important to block your garment. It will also help if, for example, you need extra space around the sleeves, or if maybe you ended up a little bit too short around the sleeves on the length side, you can stretch them out during the blocking, and that will give you that extra space that you need to make a garment that fits just right. All right. Well, that is blocking. I hope you found this helpful, and please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. See you next time.